What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Performance Medicine Show for those who are with us live. Hello, hello. Good to see you. See a few people are in here already. If you're with us live, say hello. Um, got a great show lined up today. We've had some wonderful questions come in through email, Instagram. Hello, Linda. What's going on? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. So many great questions. Can't wait to jump in. Doc's going to get here soon. Stan, what's up? Barbara, hello. Good to see everybody. Thank you guys for hanging out with us this evening. As you guys know, if you have a question for Doc, go ahead and put it in the comments. We're going to get to every single question tonight. Carol, what's going on? Hello. Good to see you. Let's see here. As you guys know, Tuesday we send out Performance Weekly. That's our weekly email newsletter. It's basically a curation of all of our best content from the week. And what we did this week was different because one, it's become, this thing on vitamin K is, to my knowledge, it's becoming super, super important. So vitamin K is important. So we repurposed this. This was an episode of the Common Sense MD back in 2022. We recorded it in March of 22. We posted it again in the weekly this week, and then we on the podcast on Spotify and Apple. We made a couple updates specifically around calcification and how important vitamin K2 is for your heart and your arteries. As you guys know, Doc's number one vitamin is vitamin D3 with K2 for most every adult. So we're re-emphasizing that this week on the Common Sense MD. This week's episode of Explain This was on cholesterol. We filmed this over a year ago. And if you guys want to know kind of the way we think about cholesterol and statins, you have to watch this video with Robin Riddle. She goes into detail how we look at cholesterol, how we look at statins. As you guys know, it's not that we're against statins. It's just we're not putting everybody on them. So check that out. And then on Dive Into Diet, we have a brand new show with Lucas Schmidt, our nutrition coach. Talks about the secret to setting health goals. I really like this one because eating clean is something that I have ambitions to build into my life, and he does a great job of how do you build clean eating into your daily routine in a way that's sustainable. It's been hard for me. So I get a little personal in that episode. Like, it was cool. Like, Lucas did such a great job of laying things out and made it feel very possible. So I hope you guys will check that out. Deborah, what's up? Cherry, hello. Allison, hello. Great to see you. Michelle, hello. See Lisa's here, shared the podcast. Thank you so much. Roel, what's going on, man? Hope you're staying cool down in Texas. D. Lynn, what's happening? So pumped to see everybody tonight. As you guys know, Doc's almost here. If you guys have a question for him, go ahead and put it in the comments. We have a couple questions that came in throughout the week. Really appreciate you guys emailing and direct messaging us on Instagram and Facebook. That really sets the tone for the show, so we really appreciate that. One more thing I'm going to put up here because I know Katie wants to see this up. Dr. Rogers' Ultimate Aging Formula is in all of the offices. We have it down in both Knoxville practices as well as all of the practices up in the Tri-Cities. You can see what's in there: astragalus, nicotinamide riboside, apigenin. If you guys want to kind of dive into that a little bit more, you can go to last week's episode of the Common Sense MD. or you can go to our website. We wrote a companion article to that, kind of detailing why those 3 vitamins are in this one capsule. So definitely check that out. All right, Doc is ready to roll. He's through hair and makeup, looking sharp. I'm going to get him in here. I know you
No
love
makeup and no hair today.
I see you got a fresh cut. I love it. Is that your summer cut?
That's my summer cut. I got buzzed. Yeah. Mhm. I'm going to do the next podcast on how to grow your hair back, because that's a short haircut. Look at that. I mean, it's like military. People have been saluting me all week, calling me
Are you
Colonel.
going to grow out any facial hair? A lot of times when I'll go short up top, I'll uh, have a little facial hair. Is that something
I
I haven't seen
doubt
you
it.
in?
No. Hey, your hair is sticking straight up on one side. I bet people are making fun of you for that. You've
And
got
I
one
just
part that just sticks straight up.
I deserve it. I don't know what's going on.
You need a little product in that hair.
I
You know,
know. Well,
you just got one. It looks like a feather, like you're wearing a feather there or something.
and that just goes to show everybody who's with us live, we're all about the education here. Okay, it's not always about. We're not trying to look pretty. We're trying to deliver the best content on integrative medicine, all things health and wellness. That's the only way. I mean, one thing I know is we're going to have some very cute dogs show up at some point in the show,
I may have a surprise
and
for you at the end of the show. I
yeah,
may have a little surprise for you. But
we're gonna have to make up for this because and we're gonna have to answer some really good questions. I see Amber's in here; she's dying laughing. I hope the twins aren't making fun of me too. Uh,
yeah, Ben, you can just spit on your hand and just slick it down because it's sticking straight up, man.
I'm focused on the people who are with us live and getting all their questions answered.
All right.
So,
Let's
guys,
get
go
to it.
ahead.
Let's start. Let's go ahead and start then.
Go ahead and distract us, guys, with some questions. I'm gonna put this up from Barbara's because this is true. Yeah, I know I can't be a rock star. That's over for me. I
She's
love
probably
it.
talking about me. I think Barbara's talking
Oh,
about me because of my
actually,
short hair.
I think Barbara
Yeah.
is talking about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do
Yeah.
the '80s hair
I
band.
know. I've turned from a rock god, to just a normal accountant looking guy, or maybe military.
Yeah,
But
I love it. I'm looking forward to. I'm getting used to this haircut, so we'll probably be talking a little bit sporadically through the evening. So we're gonna get to some questions, guys. If you have questions for Doc, put them in the comments. We're gonna take a few that came in throughout the week. Um, I think this is a fun one to kind of get us started. Before you answer, anyone who's with us live, if you have guesses, go ahead and put in your guess for what Doc tries to eat every single day. This listener's guess was avocado. What the question is, what is the one food that you eat every single day?
wow. Well, I take all my vitamins every single day. The one food is probably my super vitamin that I take. But I don't know if I'm going to have a little surprise toward the end of this podcast. And so the one food I try to eat every day.
Hold on 1 second, because we're getting some guesses here.
Oh, okay.
You have your answer, and I'm gonna see. D-Lynn has a comment. Susan, both on YouTube, on Facebook, we've got cherries. Guess so far, I see beef liver, banana, and honey. That's interesting. I'd say honey's a very good guess.
Yeah.
Knowing what I know about you. Um, Lisa's not into the beef liver. Caitlin is saying eggs. It's a really good.
There's some pretty good guesses there. There's some really
And
good
then
guesses.
Karen saying box full of vitamins. That's a good one.
Sink down to very
Linda
few. Now that
saying,
I have my own set of vitamins, it's sink down to very few vitamins. So,
Linda saying honey. Luann saying lemon. Roel saying protein, kind of a general one right there. Okay, let's see here. What is one food that you try to eat every single day?
Well, it's been guessed, so it's honey.
Is it
I
honey?
definitely
Really?
consume honey every day without fail. Raw, unpasteurized, non-filtered, local honey. I definitely eat that every day. But my number two, I'll have a, I'm going to reveal that at to the end of the podcast.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. All
But
right. We
those are
do
some
have
very
a
good guesses. So I guess Linda brought that up,
we
but yeah,
had
honey's my
Linda
number
and
one.
Dylan. Yep.
Yeah, there's some other great
But
foods. I don't eat bananas though. I
okay.
don't eat bananas.
So yeah, great guesses here, guys. And I was actually curious. I didn't know you consumed honey every day, but
Oh,
I kind
every
of had a
day.
feeling. All
Every
right, let's go on to the next one. Let's see, where are we at? this kind of goes along with it. How often are you actually eating beef liver? I know it's healthy and I actually like it, but it does have a ton of cholesterol, which always makes me a little uneasy when I eat it. I know cholesterol is not the villain they make it out to be, but wondering if we should be concerned about consuming too much at all or not. Again, I'll send you guys to the Explain This episode with Robin Riddle on cholesterol to kind of get a deep dive as far as how we're looking at that. But let's be, completely realistic. How often are you eating beef liver? And should
uh,
this listener be concerned?
well, number one, I wouldn't be concerned about raising your cholesterol with beef liver. There's so many. Actually, if there was a perfect food, it'd be beef liver. I like to say I eat it every day, but I don't. I do take a supplement, one of Dr. Salandino's supplements that has, it's organs, but it's a supplement. So I swallow it as in pill form, capsule form, and the main ingredient is beef liver. But I only actually eat it when Katie brings it to the office. That's when I eat it, and I eat it raw, and I only eat like a little chunk of it, like you know, half an ounce to an ounce of it. Just swallow it right down because I don't like the taste of liver personally. Some people love it, so I eat it raw. Just gulp it down, with some water or sometimes she brings some fresh orange juice I'll gulp it down with. Makes it
Yep.
taste a little more pleasant. But I know Katie does it and Carter do it daily. I think it's really good for you. So I don't worry about that little bit raising your cholesterol anyway. Just so full of great stuff, copper, zinc. I mean, there's hardly anything that comes close. There's no vegetable that comes close to the nutritional benefits of beef liver. If you want to cook it, you can actually sear it, and some people actually like the taste of it when they do that. I recommend usually pre-soaking it in milk before you actually sear it like you would raw tuna or sushi maybe, and then you can chew it up and enjoy that taste if you like it. But that's a great question. I don't eat it every day. I wish I did. But you have to go the trouble of going to the butcher every week, getting it fresh, grass fed, and that type thing. Then you actually have to let it slide down your throat. You swallow it. But I just never have been a big fan of the taste of liver. Probably just the thought of it, but I do enjoy swallowing it though.
Now, when as you're talking there about beef liver and all the, nutrients in it, how does it compare to eggs? Because I know, eggs can be considered a superfood to a degree as, beef liver. Is it nutritionally, is it kind of the same? Because I think people who consume a lot of
That
eggs
may
are
be
also
one. That may be
cholesterol.
one too. Like I say, unless you're allergic to eggs, which some people are, um, eggs would probably be way up there.
Yeah.
You know,
But
Dr. Paladino may not say so. He's actually grass-fed beef guy, but but yeah, I mean, certainly I like fish too. I think fish is really good for you. I just had salmon tonight for dinner and loved it. But I'll talk about that later on, probably.
All right. I see Dave is in the building. Welcome in, Dave. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Let's get to this question here. I'm interested to know if your dad is familiar with ICIS full body scans and his opinion, please. For first time listeners, Doc is my dad. So sometimes the questions come in with dad in them. And I love that. So, Dad, what's
I
your
don't
thoughts
know
on this?
what ICIS stands for, but if you're talking about a full body MRI scan, I like them for the most part. I haven't done one myself, but there are a lot of radiologists that offer them. I know Dr. Bush in Atlanta certainly does, and I've sent a lot of patients to him for MRI of prostate, and he will offer a total body MRI, which I think is good and bad. I think a lot of times depends on who reads it. If it's Dr. Bush, it's great, but if it's somebody that with radiologists, you have to be careful because some of them practice this little thing called CYA, cover your, you know what I'm saying. So any little dark spot or blip on it, they go, well, you may want to check this out. So they can't overread them and, cause a lot of worry for nothing. So I think the technology is still developing there, and knowing what to pick out and what to leave alone. So I think there's a lot of potential if that's the ICIS, if that's the MRI full body scan. I'm not sure. You may want to put it up there and see if that's what it stands for.
And
But
I will. Can I give you a little context? There's something here right behind the question. I'm just going to read it. I've heard from another doctor, as this may be true, that the scan will find something, and then it's up to you as to how to proceed. Furthermore, invasive testing, watch it, things like that. My husband and I are at the age where many friends and relatives are being diagnosed with serious problems, and we feel this may be another step we can take in addition to making our health a priority, to catch something early that might not be found otherwise until it has progressed. And I love the way they're talking about it here, because I'm sure so many who are with us live and who are listening on the podcast can relate. Like you kind of want to know, you want to know, and you kind of don't want to know. It seems that this couple is they've seen friends and relatives be diagnosed with serious things, and they're wanting to take precautions. How do you kind of look at it yourself? You're 68. Is this something that you would look into?
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think I'm going to get one right now because I've just seen too many false negatives come across some of these scans. Like I say, it's going to be different depending on who reads it. So a lot of times it leads to unnecessary testing, invasive testing, and that kind of thing. Say like they see something on your liver or your kidney or your pancreas. Is it really suspicious? Or is it moderately suspicious or low suspicion? They'll put that on there. But if it's moderate, are you going to go in there and get a biopsy of it? Maybe so. If it's really highly suspicious, definitely would. But moderate, I don't know. It may require following with it and seeing. But if you get this scan and the radiologist looks at it, they have no responsibility for what you do with it. And so they want to CYA so that if down the line, well, gosh, I got this scan and it looked low suspicion, but yet it turned out to be a cancer. They worry about getting sued down the line. This thing was here. You should have seen it. So that's always leads to maybe being too cautious with diagnosis. So there's a fine line there. I do think it's in the future for sure. They'll have a lot more accurate scans for us. One thing I love is CT calcium scorings, because at least where we order them, you get not only your coronary calcium score, but you also get a free low dose CT of the lungs, which I've picked up several cancers from that. even in non-smokers. So I think that's a really good test to get. So just be cautious, and I'm not against it. I'm sure there's places that do more of this and will help guide you with it. So
it's such a fine line, because there's a fine line between being, prevention oriented, and also just kind of, scaring yourself unnecessarily,
yeah, and look
and
at the risk factors. I mean, we're coming up with genetic cancer tests that will clue you in as to what cancers you may be prone to genetically, and certainly then the scanning. You'd be more aggressive with the scanning, of course, like the
yeah,
BRCA gene, etc. But I mean, we're not going to be practicing medicine anything like we do right now 5 years from now. The technology is just exploding with this kind of thing. And of course, I'm all into preventive medicine, so I'm all for screening. The radiologic screens sometimes for subtle things aren't as accurate as the blood test, I don't think. But there's a lot of controversy, even like with the PSA. I dealt with 2 cases today. Their PSAs are 9, but no prostate cancer. So you have to know how to follow it, and it's the velocity of that PSA. So I've seen high PSAs with no sign of cancer, even after MRI and biopsies. So a lot of times, it's your judgment. Now we're going to have AI in there the next year or two that's going to make those decisions, probably, a little bit more analytically than we can make them. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Stay tuned. I'm not against them at all, but just be wary and don't freak out if you have a little, judgment call here or there.
yeah, I can definitely see how amazing and good it can be, and I can also see how it can, go the wrong way. So we're going to talk more. We're going to keep talking about it as new technologies like this are becoming more and more available and more common. So thank you so much for this question. This was a really, really
And
good.
becoming, affordable too,
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. Elise, I see you over on YouTube from Colorado Springs. Love Colorado. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. Karen, I see your question on Facebook. Thank you. I love a saffron question. Okay, let's get to the next question here. This is something, I hope I caught this right. This question came on Instagram. I'm 58 and have literally tried everything to get rid of night sweats, BHRT, bioidentical hormones, adrenals, liver. Um, I'm sure you've gotten questions very similar to this. We're tried everything to get rid of night sweats, including hormones. How would you approach this? And again, I hope I caught the question. I'm putting the question
Yeah.
here.
I mean, I don't know if you're having hot flashes or night sweats can be caused by a lot of different things. One thing I would get a chest x-ray. Just get a CT calcium, look at your lungs. I mean, there may be something funky going on there. Probably not. There's all kinds of infectious diseases out there that could be causing fevers at night, and therefore you may have night sweats with that. But I had a patient recently that had night sweats. We replaced her hormones adequately. Of course, the first place you look is hormone levels, and maybe they're not optimized. I don't know. But certainly this patient had night sweats, had good hormone levels. But when I started talking to her, she was drinking a glass of wine every night. And I thought that may have been causing some of that. So I put her on NAC, N-acetylcysteine, and they went away. So you might try NAC. It's a great detoxifier. As far as detox supplements, NAC and milk thistle are my favorite. But certainly, have the complete blood work, check something like a Cleveland panel, and look at it, see, make sure your hormones are adequately replaced. Um, you know, I'm a believer in replacing all the hormones, including progesterone. If you haven't, even if you've had a hysterectomy, you still need progesterone. Um, and certainly look at your testosterone levels. And, you may even want to go a little bit further and look at things like sex hormone binding globulin, DHT levels, um, things like that, because it could have to do with your testosterone levels as well. And there's ways you can kind of lower that naturally as well, besides using prescription medicines for it. So that's really interesting, but you probably need a workup just to make sure nothing else is going on. I've certainly seen that a lot. But certainly, we'll rule out infectious causes of it. You may be just sleeping in too hot a bed. That's the other thing I see a lot of times. You want to sleep in a really cool bed.
Super interesting. Thank you so much for that question. I know, like, the night sweats thing is something that we hear a lot about in office and online here. So thank you for that question. I know that's helping.
And always look at medications. Always look at medications that you're taking. Could it be causing it? Even a supplement can cause something like that. So look at those real closely. If you're on a bunch of supplements, just stop them and add one back at a time and see if it makes a difference.
Right. We're going to keep going here. This is this is in reference to last week. Let me see if I get this question right. Please explain more about how the dandruff shampoo a couple of times a week that you mentioned last week can actually help with thinning hair. Goes on to say, I always thought that dandruff shampoo can dry and thin hair. And then we got another hair question right after that. So we'll go.
Well, if you use dandruff shampoo too often, you can dry your hair. That's one. You always use one with a moisturizer in it, but it kind of works by, cleaning out the sebum in your hair follicles. So I think it's really helpful, and always work it in, really well. Anytime you shampoo, really work it in, massage your scalp. That in itself brings more blood flow, and it can help circulate, bring more nutrients to your scalp. But that's kind of how it works. It just kind of opens up your hair follicles a little bit. But I do it, once, twice a week, maybe. I certainly use a lot of moisturizer. I tend to have dry hair anyway. And what shampoo you use makes a huge difference in the dryness of your hair. But that's a great question. Look at the other stuff you can do as well. I'm really going to do another hair podcast really soon, especially since my hair is virtually gone now. Really thin. Look how thin it is over here, man.
You need some of that Andy treatment, whatever Andy's doing. It's working. So let me just clarify, because I want to make sure that they're getting a good strategy here. So it seems it's important to keep it limited to a couple times a week. Use a moisturizer with it if you use the dandruff shampoo. Am I interpreting that right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we're going to keep moving here. Carter, what's going on? I see you're in the building. Carter, of course, in JC. If you've been to the JC office, you've seen Carter. Carter, I'm going to see you soon. I need to get to JC. Need to get to JC soon. Get some yeehaw, which is right down the road. Okay, let's go to this one, and maybe I should have prepared for this one, because I know there's ontogeny C near me in this office, and probably near you at the house. Trying to use less toxins in skincare, etc. I assume the ontogeny C shampoo you talk about is clean and free from all the bad stuff, toxins, bad chemicals, etc. that we should avoid since you sell it. I read the ingredient list, or I read the ingredients, but many of the things I just don't know if they are okay or not. So this is around kind of what's in ontogeny C. And maybe, do you have any at the house?
We do have some, yeah. I have some in my shower. Jeannie brings it down. I'll look at the ingredients, but a lot of times you will see some ingredients in there that you're not sure what it is. Um, a lot of times with products like ontogeny C that bill themselves as pretty clean, have so little in it that I don't think it matters. But um, I'll have to probably, I think I hear her bringing it down right now. I probably need my glasses as well because these ingredient lists are sometimes really small. Thank you.
Reading
I'm glad we have
ingredient
somebody
lists,
on call for this. Yeah, I will need my glasses.
maybe a magnifying glass.
It's not that bad, but it also has some good stuff in it. You know, like aloe. I can actually read this pretty good. Here's my dog just came up to.
Look at that. Look
Yeah,
at Izzy.
well, Izzy. Izzy
Um,
gonna get a reaction.
so anything you're seeing that's not good or something that should be looked into more with ontogeny C?
You know, one thing that's in here, you know, I don't like with like toothpaste, I don't like sodium lauryl sulfate. This has sodium lauryl, but it's not the same. It's lactylate, so that's not the same thing. So that's probably okay. I don't think glycerol is going to be that bad, but that's a good. I'm glad that you're bringing this up because really, I should probably look at this. It has lavender, which is okay. Potassium sorbate, which is all right. I'm not real fond of sodium benzoate, to be honest with you. Um, you know, think about this stuff too. You only, like I use this, but I only use it a couple times a week. Um, there's a lot of stuff in it. Has EDTA, which is a good thing. Betaine, which is a good thing. So it has a lot of good things in there. Mostly good stuff. I have a couple questionable things that I'm not
Can you
sure
say
about.
that?
Just
Can you say the questionable things that things are kind of standing out to you?
probably sodium benzoate.
Okay.
Um, I know they put that in a lot of sunscreens. It has rosemary leaf. It's mostly lavender. I mean, most of the stuff is, you know, safe. I'm just not sure about the benzoate and the sodium lauryl. It's different than the SLS. So I have to look that one up. But I mean, if I looked at this, I wouldn't be afraid to take it at all. I really wouldn't. But you know, always remember anything you put on your skin's absorbed uh, in your bloodstream as well. But so I mean, you a lot of times you got to weigh the risk versus the benefit. I just don't see a lot of risk to that when I look at the ingredients. Um,
You know,
but great
one,
question.
I really appreciate that question, and I really think that that's what this show is for. I love that we're doing this in real time, and we're learning along with everyone in here live, or if you're listening to it a week later on the podcast. So this is awesome. I love doing things like this because it's making us better, and hopefully you guys are getting some value out of it as well. Speaking of value, I see Robin Riddle is here, star of Explain This. And I want to do a quick plug for her because she is putting out some amazing content on functional fertility. So anyone in here live or, like I said, listening to this later, if you want to learn kind of how a functional medicine provider looks at fertility, follow Functional Fertility PM on Instagram. She's putting out content almost daily, I think, around preconception, things that you need to ask. I think there was something we put up on birth control today. So definitely go follow that. It's Functional Fertility PM on Instagram. And that's something we're going to be talking more about on Explain This as well. I think we have 4 to 5 videos on fertility. So if that resonates with anybody here with us live, tell your friends, tell your family. It's something that hits everybody at some point. And we had a great episode of Explain This last week on it, just on functional fertility as a genre, and it's just so relatable. I don't care who you are, male, female, it's stuff you're going to go through. So super
I sent
cool.
Robin this article this week that I'd read, actually in the Wall Street Journal, and it talked about, should we just abolish menopause? And it really talked a lot about fertility at older ages, and there's new companies, new biotech companies that are, finding ways to preserve eggs in women and intact, not by so much by IVF, although that was part of the article, but avoiding menopause forever, not having to go through it. Of course, it really went along well with what we do with bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, but a lot of women are putting off childbirth, because of their careers and all this stuff, and a lot of times they have problems with fertility when they're ready for a baby. And this was just a great thing. Robin already knew about it, but it really educated me a lot on some of the things they're trying to come up with, really pushing, delaying menopause. Because as you know, women that go into later menopause, say 55 years old, they're a lot healthier. I mean, they don't come down with these diseases that are more predisposed to men. After menopause, women catch up very quickly with the same diseases that plague men at an earlier age, like heart disease, for example, but a bunch of other ones. If you can delay menopause, you're certainly going to be healthier.
That's interesting.
It's really interesting. I'll maybe get a reprint of that and circulate it for those patients that are really interested in that. Certainly ask Robin about it. But
yeah, especially in the modern world, as toxic as it is, we're talking about it with Ontogeny C, things that are in our skincare products, and things that we've done an episode of Explain This.
The worst ones are these fragrances that people use.
Yeah,
those things are horrible.
Yeah.
I
was actually looking at a soap I was using, just hand soap, and because one thing Robin said in I think it was the phthalates and parabens episode, you're looking for fragrance free or something, and my darn soap has fragrance in it, like just my Dial antibacterial soap.
You're a big Irish Spring fan, aren't you? I'm kidding. Yeah, I mean, especially some of the women that wear these perfumes that are so strong, they're just walking around in toxins all the time when they spray all this stuff on them. So, maybe Robin ought to do and explain this about perfumes.
Perfumes
That'd be a great one,
interesting.
Robin. If you could do that, that'd be a great podcast and a great little 15-minute blog, I think.
We touched on perfumes and fragrances in the phthalates and parabens one, but that is something that, we could probably spend, a series on.
I've had women come into my office that we literally had to open up after they left every window in the building, and the staff was choking, wheezing, eyes watering because of one person wearing perfume in our office. And some people are highly sensitive to it.
Yeah.
So
I'll put this up from.
That'd be a good topic to deal with.
It's so true. And Robin's saying this over on Facebook. It's like it takes research to get these, or to find what products are clean. Robin's putting perfumes on the list. I love it. So expect
I switched to deodorant that has no aluminum in it a long time ago.
What's that?
I switched to deodorant that has no aluminum in it. So look at those deodorants closely. Those things can be very bad too. So I finally found a natural product that I liked.
Are you using Arm & Hammer? I'm still using that.
No, there's a little bit of aluminum in that, I'm pretty sure. I switched to one of the more natural products. I'll have to get you the name of it, but I like it.
Super interesting. Okay, we're going to keep going here. We got one more question, and I love this question because one, we want to talk about these plateaus, and I hope they're here with us live tonight because I know there's people who have been through these plateaus with Wegovy, Ozempic, semaglutide, Mounjaro, the whole thing here. So I'm going to say this question, and then we're going to talk it through. And as I always do, if anybody in the comments has ways they've gotten past plateaus with weight loss on Wegovy or Ozempic, put in the comments. I'll make sure that they see it. I've had 7 weeks with no weight loss on 2.4 Wegovy. I'm working out and I'm in a calorie deficit. Also drink a ton of water. Are plateaus normal on Wegovy, and how can I break through? Why don't you start with what 2.4 Wegovy means?
Well, it's just the milligrams of Wegovy. That's a good high dose of it. It's not unusual to have plateaus. See it all the time. So don't lose faith. I mean, it's kind of natural. Your body's kind of resetting that thermostat that's trying to get to. So plateaus are normal. If you're not having any side effects from Wegovy, certainly, stay on it. I'm sure it's suppressing your appetite and doing things behind the scene that you don't know that are very beneficial to you. You got to, don't worry just about the weight too. Worry about the percentage of fat and muscle that you have. Like if you're working out a lot and you're building muscle weighs more than fat per volume. So look at what's happening with your waist size, which to me is the most important thing. I've had people that get a little tolerant to any medication. And so sometimes I'll switch them over to Mounjaro from Wegovy or Ozempic. And sometimes they'll, do better on that. So I will switch it off sometimes if I'm convinced that they're not losing any more fat. So look at the fat distribution. Don't get discouraged. Probably have, maybe eating too many carbs. You may be stressed out. You may not be sleeping. There's so many different factors for what you weigh. It's a metabolism problem. It can be a hormonal problem. Sometimes I look closely at hormones. Sometimes medicines need to be adjusted. Certainly look at cortisol levels. If you're stressed out with no sleep, cortisol levels high, it's going to be very hard to get rid of fat. At least a very unhealthy lifestyles. And if somebody's hormones aren't working, we've had them on replacement and they're not working for some reason, I always start thinking about stress and cortisol because that can really muck up the works. I look pretty closely at thyroid. I look at insulin levels. So, a lot of things to look at. Don't get discouraged. Keep on your low carb, higher fat, moderately high protein diet. Look at your workouts. Make sure you're recovering. Hopefully you're doing a little intermittent fasting. So try those things. If not, and if everything normal in the labs comes through, you may want to switch over to Mounjaro. And,
two things stand out to me. One is the 7 weeks. So I'm wondering, like, how long are you seeing people in, almost 2 months of not losing weight? Does that,
I've seen it.
Okay. And, one thing we don't know is how much they've lost already. Does that play a factor as well?
Yeah. A lot of times I'll see a patient lose. I saw one today. They lost 80 pounds and they're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And they still not below 200. So they want to get below that 200 level and then get down to their goal of 160. So there's other factors involved. It's easier right at first. There's no doubt. If you've lost a lot of weight, it's going to slow down. But that's why it's in an ideal world, you can get DEXA scans and see what your, true measure of body fat is doing. But
that's interesting.
May even look at your type of workouts that you're doing. If you're building muscle with it. If you're not building muscle with your workouts, you need to change your workout.
This is such a great question, and again, this is a topic we're going to continue to talk a lot about. And I heard you, Doc, loud and clear. Don't get discouraged, and I'm sure there's people here with this live that can attest to that. You never know kind of when that next uh, weight loss thing's going to happen, just like it did at the beginning. Am I wrong on that, or is that kind
No,
of what you're
that's
saying,
right.
Ron?
It's always faster at first.
Okay.
The challenge to me is not losing weight. That can be a challenge, but the harder part's maintaining the weight loss.
Mm.
So a lot of times we have to make a decision. Are we going to keep this patient on Wegovy indefinitely? Or, have they changed? Are they at their ideal weight? And are they happy? And are they having side effects? Have they changed their lifestyle and what they consume enough to where we can start weaning? Or are they so insulin resistant that they're just going to have to stay on it, which a lot of people do, especially if they're diabetic, usually.
Thank you so much for that question. Came on Instagram. We're going to get to the live comments, guys. I know that took a little bit of time. Thank you so much for hanging in with us. We're going to get to every question tonight. I'm going to put this up here from Linda. Thank you, Linda, for putting this up. Crystal deodorant. That's one I'm assuming is super clean.
Yeah.
Thank you for putting that up.
Wonderful.
Carter saying Pit Liquor deodorant, super clean.
Yeah. I'll try the pit liquor. Remember, deodorants are different than deodorant antiperspirant. The antiperspirant part has aluminum in it, so you don't really need that unless you're just a really heavy sweater. So keep that in mind.
All right, thank you, guys. Let's keep going to the questions here from Roel in Texas. Would BPC 157 help somebody with acid reflux?
Sometimes I find it to be helpful. I've certainly taken it, and it's great. That's really one of the few oral forms of peptides that I like. And I do like it orally. It helps a lot of gut problems. I'll tell you one thing, you ought to try Digest Shield for reflux as well. And actually looking and seeing what you're eating that may be causing the reflux. A lot of people just blame it on their hiatal hernia, which probably half of us as adults have anyway. But try Digest Shield. And, certainly if you take antacids, which too many people take, thinking that they have too much acid in their stomach, they may not have enough acid. So you can use the betaine challenge. And I do that. I tell a lot of people to do that. It's a dirt cheap way to see if you have too much or too little acid in your stomach. You take betaine tablets, which is hydrochloric acid. Take one, don't get heartburn, fine. Take another one 5 minutes later, no heartburn, fine. Take a third one, you finally get acid burn. That means that you don't have enough acid. So what you do is you take two before you eat, and it gives your stomach enough acid to digest your food. So that's a good way. We just assume everybody has too much acid. Probably half of them don't have enough acid. So, and then your doc puts you on, I'll take Nexium or omeprazole forever. And it's terrible for you. That's one of the pet peeves. I like to get people off the PPIs unless they have something like a Barrett's esophagus. But so question whether you're on a PPI, how long you should take it, and if that's the real problem.
Great question there, Roel. I'm going to put this up from Robin. She's saying it can, and she's also saying slippery elm is great for reflux.
I've got some of that in my medicine cabinet too. I love BPC 157. It's a great all-around peptide.
Thank you so much, Robin, for that. I'm going to put this up. You know what, Karen? Karen, I already love you. My brother, Andy, said that you might be on the show tonight. And I just want to give you a huge shout out. I think
she's from Mississippi, isn't she?
She's from Mississippi. She's joining us live.
Andy told me about her.
Yes. So thank you so much. We're going to get to your question if there is one in there. But I just want to say thank you for keeping my brother safe in that plane on the way home from London. We were so happy to have him back in Johnson City. starting yesterday. So Karen, thank you. We love you. Thank you for being with us tonight. And she's going to ask her question in person. Super cool.
Okay. Can't
All
wait
right.
to talk to you. And I'll give you a tip. Andy's way smarter than me.
You and I both.
Better looking and with a better personality too,
and better hair and
Yeah.
all the things. He'll actually be on the show, I believe, the first Tuesday in August. We have him slated to come on.
I would almost say Andy's probably the most popular person in the Tri-Cities. Would you say that?
I would say that, and he's proven it with the Dancing with the Stars Tri-Cities, of which to all our Tri-Cities people, nutrition coach Lucas Schmidt
Can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I'll be there watching. He's my favorite to win it all this year.
Yeah, I'm pulling point.
Okay, let's get D. Lynn's question. Have you ever tried fermented honey and garlic? I made my first, and it's not bad. The medicinal properties are supposed to be amazing.
Wow.
What's your thoughts on this? I've not seen that. That's interesting.
Wow. That's really interesting. I've never heard of that. Of course, I love honey and I love garlic. I take a garlic peel every day for a lot of reasons. There's so many positive benefits, including it's a great anti-cancer supplement. But I'll put somebody a day on it for their blood pressure. Fermented honey, that's odd. I just don't know. Because, fermented honey is supposed to, you could have honey for 50 years and it won't go bad. So I'm going to have to check that one out. Fermented honey.
That's interesting.
I'll have to talk to my beekeepers about that. I'll order fresh, local, unpasteurized honey all the time. I keep it in my offices, sell it because I believe in it so much. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to really check that out.
D. Lynn, thank you for putting that in there. We're going to look into it. Karen's got a saffron question. I like this with Eliquis. Eliquis came up with vitamin K as far as, can you take that with vitamin K? Karen's asking, do you recommend saffron, quercetin, or berberine while taking Eliquis?
With Eliquis, number one, you don't have to worry about taking vitamin K2 with it. It won't interfere. If you're on Coumadin, the old Tommy blood thinner, you should worry about taking K2 with it. But if you're on Eliquis, you got to be careful with the omegas. That could certainly cause a little problem. But the other ones, I don't really see a problem with it. Now, remember, if you add any supplement, if you're on a potent blood thinner like Eliquis, you might, watch out for bruising and things. We can't check a blood test for how thin your blood is when you take Eliquis like we can Coumadin, which is rat poison. But so I don't think it is. But if you add them one at a time. They're for different we take those three for different reasons altogether. So unless I come up with some other reason not to, I think they're fine.
All right, Karen, I hope that helps. Let's get over to YouTube with Elise. Thank you for joining us from Colorado Springs. I'm wondering if Dr. Rogers could offer anything about supplements for increasing blood oxygen levels. So it seems it's around.
We've got a great one. Methylene Blue.
There we go.
I love Methylene Blue. You could also try the nitric oxide agonists, like some of the things like, one prescription medicine that will do it is Cialis, tadalafil, but L-citrulline and L-arginine are the two supplements that will increase that. And it's odd how Methylene Blue kind of an antagonist to that. So I think they both have their place. They both have their benefits. It's certainly not going to really cancel each other out. But my first bet would be Methylene Blue. I love Methylene Blue. I take it every day. It helps me breathe better during my workouts. It helps mental clarity. It's great for preventing urinary tract infections and actually treating them. It was a precursor to hydroxychloroquine, and it was the first really antibiotic. certainly used as an anti-malarial back in the late 1860s. So look up methylene blue. If somebody comes into the ER, your ER doc knows where that's at, because if somebody comes in with carbon monoxide poisoning or cyanide poisoning, that's the first thing they give them. It saves their lives. They put it in their vein. So look up methylene blue and try it. Just you get it over the counter. It's cheap. Put 8 drops in a glass of water and drink it every day.
You know who else knows where methylene blue is, Elise, and that is Izzy and Ike. They know
That's right.
exactly where
Just don't
the
let your dogs get into it. It's a stain. Of course, when we take it for medicinal purpose, we take the pharmaceutical grade, which is what they got into. But yeah, it also will ruin your carpet, ruin your hardwoods, and even stain your counter. That stuff is so hard to get out.
Thank you, Elise, for the question. Rose on Facebook is asking, I'm hearing some women are doing testosterone shots once a month versus the pellet. What are your thoughts, and which one has the best benefits? And how often do you recommend the Cleveland panel? Two great questions.
Great questions. Yeah. The Cleveland panel, once a year, if you're healthy and not having problems, twice a year, if you really need monitoring closely for things like diabetes or hyperlipidemia, things like that, that is a complete picture. The best thing to do is a Cleveland panel. But as far as testosterone shots, you don't want to do it just once a month. It's not enough. You can get by with doing it once every 2 weeks as a female, as a male weekly. But it's just not going to hang around a month. So, but pellet's my favorite. It's so easy, especially in women, because it's just one tea pellet. They're small. They give you a nice even release. With the shots, which I do give some women, it's fine. But you give them a small dose, usually subcutaneous, and some I give once a week, some once every 2 weeks. Just depends on their levels. And some women are concerned about hair loss with testosterone. Certainly, you have to consider that. So with the shots, you're going to get more of a peak and probably more of a conversion to DHT, dihydrotestosterone. So you maybe, if you're worried about that, hair thinning, the pellet. Some women, they use testosterone creams on. So there's a lot of different ways to go, but not once a month. It's not enough.
Okay.
Great question. Wonderful question.
Rose, thank you for putting that in there. Great question. Let's get to Fred over in Texas on YouTube. What do you think of the gummies by Super Beets for blood circulation? Great question.
I mean, I like it. Super Beets, the beets are really the ultimate food for nitric oxide. So certainly, that's the one supplement they can't ban from Olympic athletes. It's really kind of cheating because it's a food, so they can't ban that. So as far as supplements go for performance, that may be your best food there is. So I like it.
All right, Fred, I hope that helps. Let's get to Elena. Suzanne Summers has an organic shampoo that is also, this is a comment. Thank you, Elena. Suzanne Summers has an organic shampoo that is great, also hair supplements, and a product called Grow Back, which I find works, all organic. Super cool. I love Suzanne Summers.
I've met her she comes to our meetings sometimes.
Yeah.
I met her out in Vegas one year. She's not a ditzy blonde. She's a smart lady.
No. Elena, thank you for putting that in there. Hope that anyone who is looking for more organic stuff, check that out from Suzanne Summers. Marshall is asking, Marshall, thank you for being here, man. What about iodine dosing for a middle-aged guy? Thanks in advance.
You have to be careful about iodine. Most people don't have enough iodine, probably 75% of people. So, I'm not against supplementing a little bit, but if you want to get to a therapeutic dose like 12.5 milligrams, before you do that, check your levels. And you can't do it with a blood test. You do it with a spot dried urine test from ZRT Labs. So don't get on a Lugol solution right off the bat without checking it. Because if you have some conditions like, for example, Hashimoto's, it may not be really good for you. But I do like iodine for a lot of reasons, and most of us are a little low in it. Um, so
One thing,
one of my
Marshall,
supplements has a little C iodine in it that I take. So
and I do
good
believe
question.
there's a Common Sense MD episode on iodine in particular, or I think it is on iodine.
But it's been a
Uh,
while since
it's
I've done a
been
podcast on that. But
it's been a minute, but hopefully that helps, Marshall. All right, let's keep going. Where am I at? Let's see. Let's get to Connie on Facebook. What do you think about berberine supplement? Is it good for weight loss?
I love berberine for a lot of reasons. They're calling it the oral Ozempic, which it's not an oral, it's not an equivalent to that, but that's what a lot of people call it. It's berberine's kind of like metformin. You know, it really kind of makes your insulin work better without the GI side effects of metformin. So I love berberine. There's also a lot of other positive benefits from berberine, including blood pressure, probably cholesterol if you're worried about that. But I use it a lot for in place of metformin for weight loss. But I don't see tremendous amounts of weight loss on it. I don't know if Robin does or not, but it's a great supplement though, especially for those that are really insulin resistant. But great question, really good supplement.
Thank you for that, Connie. I'm going to put this up here for Isla and Ava. Another look at Izzy and Ike, the Methylene Blue crew. And we have endless pictures of this event.
They cannot deny that they got into the methylene blue. When I got on about it, they denied it, but you could tell they've been into it.
They're like, "What are you talking about? Methylene blue?" All right, let's keep moving here. Where am I at? Where have I missed somebody? Maybe I haven't. Okay, I think we might be caught up. I was
I think
worried we
caught
were.
up. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Here's Candy. What do you recommend? This is from Candy here on YouTube. What do you recommend to put on my scar from my thyroid removal to minimize the scar?
Of course, a lot of people use vitamin E for it, but actually, some of the compounding pharmacists make some good scar creams. Check with your local compounding pharmacist, and they have some different things they use that really works pretty well.
Man, I
I'll
tell
have
you
to
what.
ask Andy, that scar cream he used when that dog about bit his nose off, that I actually had to sew on. I won't say his whole nose back on, but I had to sew a huge laceration up on his nose. And he's been using this compounded scar cream. Um, have you ever heard of Rhodesian Ridgeback dog?
No,
Those
but
are
I'm assuming.
vicious dogs, and that's what got on him. It just attacked him in the face. So be careful around
Yeah, pups you don't know.
dogs. You got to be careful around dogs. I'm not kidding you. I've seen a lot of people bit by dogs.
And,
But
and I'll Amanda, who had a dog incident, not coincidentally, this was a different type of dog incident, but she's using that cream as well. She got stitched up by Margot in Fountain City around on her hand, and this scar cream is phenomenal. Randy over at Heartland Apothecary in Knoxville compounded it for her, and I think he did it for Andy as well. For his scar, but we'll figure out what that is because it's phenomenal. And Candy, you can I'll ask Andy. We'll get that. We'll
yeah,
get what it's called because it's pretty. It's like a miracle thing. Amanda's like having huge success with it.
yeah.
See. Oh, and Andy used something from Kelly too. It's an Aven. Thank you, Carter, for putting this in here. An Aven product.
Okay.
So I hope that helps, Candy. All right, I think you've got a couple surprises for us. I think we're towards the end of the show, and if anybody has last minute questions, go ahead and put them in. I think I've gotten through all of them. If I haven't, I apologize. Oh, here we go. Let's get Fred real quick. I'm currently on Jardiance. Is it safe to add berberine to my regimen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can certainly add that. Yeah, probably complement it pretty well.
All right, Fred, I hope that helps.
Great question.
All right, how are we ending the show? How are we going to do it? We gonna do it with
well,
Izzy
yeah,
and Ike?
I've got a special guest for you. No, it's not Izzy or Ike.
It's not Izzy and Ike.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to reveal the food, my number 2 best food that I try to eat on a daily basis if I can, and that is a superfood called an egg. I mean, my number 1 would be honey that I eat every day, but then egg, and that's why I kind of got a special guest tonight. This is crazy, but
what
I've got a special special guest. Her name is Amy Provence, and I want to introduce something pretty cool. Amy,
let's do it.
Can you bring the surprise in, please?
Oh gosh, I can hear it.
Hear it? The chickens.
Look at that. Hey, Amy.
Here are the chickens.
Yeah, let me hold one.
This is a cool chicken here.
That is a chicken.
This is what lays the eggs. Those eggs you brought by were amazing.
Thank you.
They were the best I've ever had. But these are tell me about the kind of chickens these are. These are special.
So these
That
are
is
silkies.
phenomenal.
They're called silkies.
Silkies, yeah. This is Oscar. She's a girl, but I named her Oscar because I thought she was a boy, and then she started laying eggs. And then that is Cleo, and so they're silkies. They have furry feet. They can hardly sit. Yeah, they got feathers all over their feet, and they lay teeny tiny eggs like the size of a golf ball.
That is, they're cute, aren't they, Ben?
Wow, that's awesome. Oscar and Cleo.
You want me to get her? She's like, I'm throwing.
She likes you better than me. Is that not the coolest thing ever? I've never had it. Well, they got a lot of feathers, though.
You
can hold that one.
Okay.
Well,
I love that. That's
she's
Cleo.
the one who just gave him a fit.
Oh, okay. Well, hold the wings down, baby.
Okay.
Hold the wings. Just hold the wings.
I'm not good at holding chickens, but
Yeah.
anyway, that's a surprise for tonight. My number 2 is the egg. They're so good for you unless you happen to be allergic to them. But I've just never held a chicken like that. And I wanted Amy to bring him down here tonight because she's brought us these fresh eggs. And I've just never seen a silky before. Have you?
That's so cool.
They're kind of camera shy, aren't they?
A little bit.
They're a little bit camera shy.
So
But-
it's a silky.
They've never been in the house. It's the first time ever. They're called silkies. And they kind of look like little dogs to me.
Yeah. Well, they did phenomenal for their first.
They did. For the first on-screen event, they did great.
Yes.
I hope the audience enjoyed that because that was cool.
That's
Would you guess
awesome.
that's what we're bringing on?
Who would have thought, guys? Who would have thought that chickens would be on the Performance Medicine Show?
I'll let Amy hold them because they don't like me.
Yeah, they do. They love you.
Come on, Amy. One more look.
Here we go.
There we go. There's the silkies. That's
It's like
Oscar.
a dog. Look at this.
Look at
I
that.
mean, I've just never seen a chicken like that.
They have blue ears.
They have blue ears.
Yeah, do you see?
I do see. Those are blue ears, kind of a blue beak, too.
Yep.
Isn't that a
Wow.
cool chicken? This is the first for me. I love it. I've got to get a coop.
I'll get the chickens.
Amy's going to give us some chickens.
There we go. So we'll have
This is
some
awesome.
silkies here pretty soon.
Oscar is
Oscar.
trying to be a mom right now. She's laying on eggs at the house.
Oscar is laying on eggs.
Is this Cleo or Oscar? That's Oscar.
This is Oscar.
Oscar is so
The
well
girl.
behaved.
Thought it was a boy at first. I think that's hard.
Yeah. We didn't know till 8 months.
We didn't know till 8 months, or they didn't. Well, Ben,
Guys,
thank you so much for a wonderful. Amy, thank you. This has
You're
been a
welcome.
treat. This has been
Amy,
a real
thank you
treat.
so much. Thank you so much.
The all-important egg. Remember it.
Egg.
An egg a day keeps the doctor away.
An egg a day keeps the doctor away. Amy, thank you so much for bringing Oscar and Cleo on. Those are Silky's chickens, guys.
Oscar's settled down.
Hopefully,
a lot.
this is not their
Oscar
last time
getting
on the
used to it.
show. We'll have
Yeah, I
to
hope
we'll
we
have
can
to
bring
get them
them
back. All right, guys. I love you. We are going to call it a show with Oscar there. I think we have to make this a 10. Like that's a 10.
Yeah, we can rate this one. I'll rate it as a 10. Just
That
because
is
of
it. That is a 10. What do you guys think? Did we get a 10? We brought on, the Silkies
Yeah,
chickens.
I mean, what else can we do?
Oscar and Cleo. We're pulling out all the stops tonight on the Performance Medicine Show. We're going to call it a show. DS Runyon, Coal Miner's Daughter is here. Thank you so much for hanging out. Watch the rerun, and we'll see you live next week. For those who don't know, we do this every Tuesday at 7. We answer all your health and wellness questions. D. Lynn, Cherry saying a 10. Carter saying a 10. Thank you,
Wow.
Carter.
Carter's never said a 10.
Carter's always like, around a 9.1.
Yeah.
She's saying maybe an 8.7.
She says perfection's hard to obtain. We've done it tonight.
I love it. Amber's giving us 11. I love it. Karen's
Well, you've
saying
gotten
bird
11
dogs
before.
and everything.
We got an
Lisa's saying
11.
we got. All right, we're going to call it a show. Is this a show?
This is a show. Good night, Ben.
It's a show. Guys,
Listen.
we love you. We'll be back next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Come join us live. Quan's Entertainment, I'll get your question first thing next week. That'll be first up. All right, we love you guys. We will see you next time. Brad, take us away if I can find my outro. All right, love you guys.
Don't go away.